Now, I want to get this out of the way before the last one on this list is probably going to be really divisive, but you'll see when we get to that. Hello, everyone. If you're like me, you're probably an avid horror fan. I know I am. I absolutely love horror movies, but I know that every one of us who enjoys horror movies has that problem of no movies scare me. Now, depends on the person. But for me personally, it depends. There's very specific niches that get me more than others. And today I thought I'd go over 10 movies that do genuinely scare me. Most of these I do own on physical media. There's a few that I don't, and those all have like a little pop up somewhere. I have a room, so put it somewhere. Wait, yeah, let's get into this. For the first one, we have The Descent from 2005, directed by Neil Marshall. This movie scares the shit out of me. So it's about a bunch of women. One of them has a accident with her family, and then a year later, I'm pretty sure it's a year later, they decide to all go spelunking, and they get lost in a cave that no one's found before. And stuff happens. I'm not going to try to spoil too much about these movies, but yeah. This is an old Blockbuster version from 2007. Got a relic. It's even in that nice, like, case with the plastic and everything. Okay. Yeah. But, this movie combines some of my worst fears, which are the dark, heights, and enclosed spaces. And you would maybe thinking, like, how in a cave, in a movie that takes place entirely in a cave, do they get heights in there? They fucking do. It's terrifying. There is some very scary scenes in this. I think they do super well with lighting, and there's a few bits where the only light you have is glow sticks, and some of those bits are very well done. The jump scares aren't like constant, and when they do jump scares, they usually are pretty effective. They're really good at building tension, specifically the blood pool scene, if you know the one I'm talking about. That one stresses me out every time I watch that. I think this movie is genuinely scary, and yeah, it's very fun to watch in the dark. If you can get like a physical copy and watch it, or not even physical, but if you can get a copy and watch it in the dark, in just the dark at night, alone or with friends, either way, if you can show it to people, show it. It is also just in general a really good movie, and this is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Next, we have The Thing from 1982, directed by John Carpenter. I am an avid John Carpenter fan. One of my favorites is They Live, but The Thing is probably my favorite movie by him. This movie today still is freaky as hell. Everything is done practically, considering it was the 80s. They didn't really have much options, but everything is done so well. It's a team of researchers in Antarctica. Basically, something gets in that's pretending to be human, and they're trying to figure out who is the thing. Let's see. Yeah, no, this movie I do find genuinely scary. I think it's cool when horror movies are able to do stuff, especially in winter, because I think it's very hard to get the colors and the lighting and everything perfect with it, and also do good scares without relying on cheap stuff. I just haven't really seen too many movies that are in winter. They usually pick like summer camps and stuff, so it's always refreshing to see. Other thing that makes this movie less scary for me is I get to look at Kurt Russell, like peak Kurt Russell the entire time. Lord. Kurt Russell sure is pretty. Let's put in some pictures of Kurt Russell, my love. I know he's old enough that he could be my dad or even my grandpa, but like, shush. He's also very attractive in Tombstone. But that's besides the point. Yeah, no, The Thing is also one of my favorite just movies in general, and if you've never seen The Thing, you are really missing out, because this movie is super cool. It's a bit of a slow burn depending on the scene. Because it does that kind of thing where it jumps in and out of action quite a bit, but I think it balances it really well. So if you're able to sit through it, do it. If you've never seen The Thing, do You are doing yourself a disservice by not watching. Next, we have Speak No Evil from 2022, directed by Christian Taftrup. I apologize if I messed that up, but this one is an interesting experience. By the way, this is not the American remake that came out. I never got around to that. At some point, I'll probably watch it. This one just means a lot to me. This movie isn't scary in a traditional sense. It's more, I am someone who deals with a lot of, I have really bad social anxiety. This movie hits it on the head. This is the building of just tension and awkwardness and anxiety. Basically, this family is on a vacation and they meet another family, and that family is like, hey, at some point you should come to our house and hang out, and they go to hang out for a week, and stuff just evolves. The building of tension in this movie is also really well done. This is a super slow burn. Don't go in expecting like jump scares or anything like that. But the slow evolution and descent into, I don't know if I'd say madness, but just evil is perfect. This movie, it disturbs me. The first time after I watched this movie, because I watched it with headphones in my room, and which is worth it, by the way. Watching this movie, really good with headphones. They do some really cool audio things sometimes, especially the music. It builds really well. But after the first time I watched this, I had to kind of just sit for a little bit. This is one of those movies that after you watch it, your day might be ruined. So remember that if you watch it. I think it's really good. Again, it's weird. It's not like scary in a traditional sense, but if you were someone with a lot of social anxiety and like slow burns, this movie's really good, and I think everyone does a fantastic job, and I wish more people would watch the original one, because I think the original's good. Again, I haven't seen the remake, no clue if the American remake's good. I think it's a little weird to make American remake. It's weird for such a little time to go by and them to be like, yeah, let's make a remake. Whatever, it's probably not bad. Next we have Hell House LLC, directed by Stephen Cognetti from 2015. This movie is basically it's filmed in a documentary style. A bunch of people every year, they do a haunted house and they rent out the Abaddon Hotel. And the entire movie is them documenting that something happened on Halloween night and showing from when they first bought the place and are building it up and what's going on. This is found footage. Found footage movies are such hit or miss because they can either be some of the scariest things you've ever seen or they can be just crap. This is not crap. This movie is one of the scariest found footage movies I've seen. Besides one other that's on this list, but we'll get to that. They balance a good level of build up and jump scares super well in this movie. It's not even like excessively gory or anything. Which most of these, well, I say most of these are actually, The Descent and The Thing have quite a bit of gore. But, I can't do this movie enough, praise, because it scares me. It's freaky. I didn't think that something like that, a found footage movie like this would scare me. If you have an open mind and like, discovering new movies, Hell House is worth it. There's also several sequels. I've seen up to the third one. There's two that I have not seen. The second one's also pretty solid. The third one's okay. They get into a lot of deep lore in some of the later movies, because there's a lot of lore to these. There is a lot. But if you want to support something that was like an indie thing that blew up a little bit, do it. That movie's great. I don't even know if this is an official thing, technically, the version I have. I'm pretty sure this is a bootleg DVD. But I'm just glad to own it. Next, we have The Witch from 2015, directed by Robert Eggers. Robert Eggers is one of my favorite directors. I think he does really good with any form of build-up in his movies. I also really like Nosferatu. I know people are pretty split on that. I thought Nosferatu was pretty solid. This is about a family that gets exiled to go live in the country, and basically stuff just starts happening. The curse falls upon the family. Once again, if you like slow burns, this is really good. I would suggest watching this with headphones if you can. They do speak in some Old English, so There is some dialogue that's harder to understand, but thankfully with subtitles, I don't think it's too hard if you know any older English or you've read any older books or anything. But it's very good. Again, not a like super gory movie or a movie full of jump scares or anything, but when it uses the woods, because a big part is that the farm that they live on is near the woods, and there's several scenes that are in the woods. And then and Robert Eggers is really good at using one, the darkness in the woods, and feeling like something is constantly watching you. No matter what, whenever there is a shot where people are in the woods, you feel like there is someone watching you. And I think that is the perfect thing for this movie. Um, yeah, this movie is very good. I do genuinely find it terrifying. The score is also really good. That also builds throughout the entire thing, and I think that is also a big reason why this movie is as scary as it is. But again, if you haven't seen The Witch, or if you haven't seen much for Robert Eggers, do it. I think it's fun. Next movie we have is The Evil Dead from 1981, directed by Sam Raimi. Um, I am a huge Evil Dead fan. I own all the movies. I've seen most of Ash vs. Evil Dead. I need to actually do more of that. I'm just really bad with TV shows. Um, I love the Evil Dead movies. I do have kind of an unpopular opinion though. This is one of my favorite Evil Dead movies. Um, at least out of like the original trilogy. Whereas some people find this movie a little goofy, I think this movie is so disturbing once it gets into stuff. This is a very gory movie. If you don't know the plot for Evil Dead by now, a group of kids goes into a cabin, they get cursed, people start turning into these things called deadites, which are like demon things, and yeah. Um, I think it's a really good movie. The effects are really cool because there's some bits that they do with stop motion um, near the end and like claymation, and those are some of the scariest parts. Near the end, it just gets into madness, and you don't know what's going on, and it's just freaky, and it's super uncanny in the best way that I can put it. I also just really enjoy this movie. Again, very bloody. So if you want that, do it. It's worth it. If you haven't seen Evil Dead by now, what are you waiting for? Bruce Campbell would be ashamed. Maybe actually, he might. I don't know. The next movie we have is The Taking of Deborah Logan from 2014, directed by Adam Robitel. It's another found footage movie about some people basically going to make a medical documentary about this woman named Deborah who's starting to go through early stages of Alzheimer's and just watching her descent. And they start realizing it might not be Alzheimer's. Now, unfortunately, I don't own this movie, but this is another found footage movie. Terrifying. This movie's super freaky. I think they also do really good with the dark. I also am freaked out by old people a little bit. It depends. I think there's some times that I think the whole scary old person trope doesn't work super well, but I think this movie balances it perfect. Everyone feels super real. It's one of the few found footage movies where it actually feels found footage. It does genuinely feel like it's something. Well, some bits feel like something that could happen. This movie is a trip. Again, I watched this with headphones. Bad idea, kind of. It's scary. It's genuinely such a scary movie. I don't really know how else to put it. If you've never seen The Taking of Deborah Logan, do it. I think it's on Tubi. That's where I watched it when I watched it. Yeah, it's not super long either, which is kind of nice. So, yeah. Next movie we have is Wreck from 2007, directed by Jaime Balaguerro and Paco Plaza. I apologize if I mispronounced those. I do not speak Spanish. This is the original one. There is an American remake of this movie called Quarantine. Watch this one. This is a Spanish language horror movie where basically there's a reporter and her cameraman, and they're with a bunch of firefighters, and they're showing basically what happens when emergency workers have to go to an apartment complex, and they get forced to be quarantined in the apartment complex because there's a sickness going around. This movie is another found footage movie where I think everyone's acting is really great. The whole movie is in Spanish, but it's not too hard to follow, especially if you have subtitles. I think everyone does super great in this. I know there's a sequel. I haven't seen the sequel yet. I also haven't watched Quarantine because I saw this and I have no need for a remake. This movie balances everything really well. It's very impressive when because the entire movie takes place basically in one building, and a few different like apartments, which it's done super well, and the framing of everything is done well. Without spoiling anything, the antagonists are really well done with their makeup and everything. This movie's just genuinely scary. When the jump scares that do happen in it happen, perfect. It is like my perfect level of jump scare. Because it's not every other minute. Yeah, it's worth it. Wreck is great. If you've never seen Wreck, that's another movie to watch. Also on Tubi, I'm pretty sure. The next one we have is another found footage movie. I didn't realize these last three were found footage. Gonjiam Haunted Asylum from 2019, directed by Jun Bum-shik. This is a Korean found footage horror movie. It is about a bunch of influencers go into a abandoned building because there's been some disappearances. This movie is very much like Grave Encounters to a certain degree. I wouldn't say it's like a ripoff or anything. It's just story premise is pretty similar. This movie also balances stuff really well. Considering most of the lighting you really get is a little bit throughout the day and flashlights. This also uses a lot of, I don't know the best way to phrase it, but more like Asian horror elements, which I think are really well done, especially when it comes to like ghosts and spirits and stuff. This movie also does really well with making it feel like people who, you can tell that they actually understand the internet because everything is done super well. It's not like in a movie when they put in YouTubers or something or influencers and it's the dumbest shit. This one, everyone feels real. Everyone has like actual personalities, and it feels like you're watching a YouTube live stream, and that's the best part of it. That's what it's supposed to be. It also balances the jump scares well. This movie's great. It's in Korean. If you can watch it, watch it. This is one of the scariest movies I've seen. And for our last movie, this is going to be a bit of a divisive one. We have Skinamarink from 2022, directed by Kyle Edward Ball. Now, I know this movie is super split. Most people I know, most people I know either haven't seen it, can't stand it, or were absolutely terrified by this movie. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I am terrified of the dark. It's just a thing with me. I don't know what it is, but I'm terrified of the dark usually. This movie shows so well the fear of the dark, especially as a child. I saw this in theaters when it came out in a packed, small, like, local theater. And I went with my brother and my fiance, and it scared the shit out of all of us. My brother, okay. Without going in too much, my brother's attention span is not amazing sometimes, unless he's really dedicated to a thing. He also doesn't really watch a ton of horror movies. The only other ones really that I've seen with him was we went to Terrifier 3 when that came out. But he was, the moment from the marketing happening and everything, he was hooked. He thought it was scary too. We came out of the theater, we were all terrified. The crowd was all quiet, which is good because it's a very quiet movie. I totally get that this isn't for everyone. I totally understand the complaints of, oh, you're staring at walls for hours and stuff. I'm a big fan of analog horror and slow burns, so this works really well with me. I watched this with headphones on in the dark. I have seen this movie twice because I cannot get myself to keep watching it. I love it, but I can't, because this movie genuinely is the scariest movie I have ever seen. And that's not even me just saying that. Just personally for me, it hit everything. It genuinely scared the shit out of me. When the bit with the phone, like the little toy phone happens with the eyes, freaks me out. And with headphones, it's even worse. The sound design in this is done so well. And if you can watch this in pitch dark, middle of the night, alone, I didn't get to watch it alone, but even not watching it alone still scared the shit out of me. I think this movie is genuinely the scariest movie that has came out, especially within the last like 10 years. Um, and again, if you go into this, just remember it's a slow burn. It's very experimental. If it's not your thing, I don't blame you. I get it. It is. I didn't. This does not seem like something that would typically be my type of movie, but it is, and I was very surprised by that. But if you get a chance, watch Skinamarink. Alrighty, that was 10 movies that scare me. What are some horror movies that scare you? Maybe I can make another list. If there's anything else you want to see, especially involving movies, video games, or whatever, let me know. If you have any ideas, let me know, because I'm bad at coming up with ideas, and it'd be really helpful. I appreciate it. Well, thank you for if you did watch this all the way through. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and don't forget to drink water. I can see you. Do it. I'll do it with you. Bye.